Dude, no, that's where you could hear because you didn't see it.
He was getting frustrated because he was trying to help, but
you kept, at least me, I heard, I couldn't even keep count of it, but just every single time Terrence started to go, you didn't just hear.
Oh, from Joe?
No, it was from Eric.
Eric, yeah.
With the echo?
You stop laughing right now. We just become best friends. And we're the three best friends that anybody can have. I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you.
The echo? Telling you.
You boys like Mexico? Yeah!
The new Terrence Howard with Eric Weinstein or whatever, Eric says some shit that's like off the cuff and kind of off color. And Terrence's response was like, garlic makes my feet smell. It's like, yes. Nice non sequitur, bro. That was good. Yeah, fucking Joe started pissing himself. That shit was hilarious.
I'm like kind of loath to go into a fourth installment of the same conversation, but I was really...
But technically it wouldn't be the same conversation.
Satisfied on many levels with the response video that came out from Joe Rogan recently. And what's the guy's name? The scientist that was on.
Oh, Neil deGrasse? Or no, the guy that Eric Weinstein?
Eric Weinstein. Like I've seen him on Rogan before. I've seen him in some
he's
other
done
interviews.
Multiple.
And like I really like the way that he talks. Like he's very down to earth. And honestly, I couldn't have picked a better person to try and help him pull his story out.
And so,
but it was like pulling teeth. And that was the other thing that I found was hilarious was like, I think I'm a little goofy and immature and I see tons of that in him though. Like he was so excited about it. And like,
Terrence or Eric?
Terrence, that he was so excited about showing them everything that he brought and everything that he's been working on.
Well, because nobody would talk to him and they're finally going to talk to him. He's like, oh my God, they're going to talk to me.
He kept derailing what Weinstein was trying to do. And he was really like, look, I want to try and be an advocate for you, but you got to teach me what's going on here.
Well, see, when he told him to stop teaching.
Yeah.
But that was another thing is I noticed every time Terrence interrupted, you heard Eric. I didn't see it, but you could hear.
But his responses were so on point though, because like at one point he looked at him and it was just like you could tell it was frustrating for him, but at the same for Eric, is that what you said?
Yeah, Eric Weinstein.
You could tell it was frustrating for him, but at the same time he's like the way your mind works is incredible. He's like the connections that you're making, and he's like, I can keep up with you mostly, but I know a lot of people out there can't. He's like, you're making these jumps and assumptions that like I am totally following and on track with, but like that's why you sound crazy to other people because they're not following along. They're picking on one thing. And that's exactly what I said to you, that one thing that if you just kind of left that out, you'd be a lot better off. And that was the
1 times 1 equals 2.
1 times 1 equals 2. And he keeps saying that's a metaphor. And it's like, no, not in the scientific community. You can't do that. There's like you have to be very specific about the words you use. And I think that there was a lot of good takeaways from that.
And you brought up that you liked his language, which I did as well, minus one part. So one of the big things that Eric stated as his reason for wanting to do this was that with all of what Terrence was doing, his biggest grievance was his personal colleagues, like the other individuals in string theory and mathematics and all of these.
Oh, we're hassling him.
We're eviscerating Terrence because of, like you said, that little bit of bullshit or, that little bit of like, no, you're not using the right language. But instead of saying you're not using the right language, they're just like, this guy's an idiot. He doesn't fucking know anything. And they just like tear into him. So Eric comes on with this place of, I'm really here to, steel man you because of this component. But I found him quite often utilizing words that, he's calling them stupid and, I mean, he instead of saying,
I don't think he ever called him stupid. I think he said that is stupid or
well, no, but he was using those kind of terms where he's saying you're full of, this is BS. You're completely wrong. This is stupid. This is a horrible idea. So there was plenty of negatives that he was placing on there. And it's like, dude, you're kind of doing what your people were doing, which is what you said you were here to not do and get away from, but you're still kind of doing it.
I know exactly. I know the moments that you're
it wasn't an
speaking of.
extreme, but it just, to me, that's why I said I did enjoy his verbiage, but there was those few moments where I'm just like, bro, you're fucking doing what everybody else is doing.
There are moments where he got on that, and I think honestly, and I don't know if these were specifically his intentions, but honestly, I think it was a way for him to like he was knocking. He was like, dude, like, cut this shit, like, because it's not helping you. Well, and he even said that at one point. He's like, I understand where you're coming from with most of this stuff. You kind of lose me at the 1x1 thing, but I'm willing to hear you out. But he's like, what you don't understand is that is the end of the conversation when it comes to the scientific community, because once they latch on, they're looking for one thing to be wrong. Once they find it, they shut their eyes to the whole thing.
Well, yeah, because their assumption is if there's one thing wrong, everything else must be flawed, or flawed enough that it's like, there's no point to this.
Well, it's kind of like how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Pretty much.
Sort of thing. Like if I can prove you wrong right in the first 10 seconds, why am I even going to waste my time and listen?
Pretty much.
But not only that, it's a gentleman's club and there's certain rules and there's certain language that you use. And when you fall out of that, and then you act like you're going to come and teach a bunch of guys that have had tenure here for years, you got to understand you're putting yourself, even if what you're saying is good, it's going to be completely ignored because you're not following the rules enough to garner attention and respect.
And I mean, that was probably one of my other issues with what Eric was doing is he's giving Terrence crap for teaching because, that's his approach. So he's classifying it as teaching, but Eric was straight up doing that to him. So it's like, you're telling me I can't do that, but you're going to do that to me. There was plenty of times where there was moments of he's attempting to help him, but then at the same time, the language that he's using really didn't promote that. So it's like, you're saying I need to modify my language so that I can be perceived better, but you're kind of being a dick right now.
And I don't think, for the most part, that it was really perceived that way.
Oh, no. Because, dude, Terrence straight, he's like, dude, I am greatly appreciative. This is amazing.
We're having just being here.
Well, that's why I said earlier, because like you were saying, he's so excited. It's like, oh my God, somebody's going to talk to me about it. So he's like a little kid.
Right. But I'm just like to the point where it's actually to his detriment.
Agreed. But that was so
funny to watch because you got to love, like, you can't be mad at a guy like that. Like, he's passionate about what he believes in. Yeah. And that was, to me, like, Eric pulled him up in all the points that, I would consider would be beneficial for him to highlight.
Agreed.
He was trying to pull all these, like raise the gold sparks, if you will, from a lot of the stuff that basically that he was putting out, whether it was an issue with vocabulary that he was using.
That was one of the bigger issues.
Or whether, you're making, I think at one point he said, you're making huge leaps of faith in areas where it's like, how did you bridge this gap? Like you never talked about any of this, but then you're going to throw this whole idea of 1x1. You're fucking with people's head. Even if they want to listen to you. He's like, look, I want to listen to you. And you're making it difficult. He didn't actually say those words, but I was like waiting for him to say that. Like, it was very entertaining to watch.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of my bigger gripes with Eric's overall approach, just personally, is he's basically telling Terrence, you're using old ideas and you shouldn't be doing this. So to me, it really felt like when an adult tells a child, be imaginative, let your mind just wander and do its thing, but this is all wrong. And it's, wait a minute, it's very hypocritical. So you're telling me one thing, but then you're doing completely different. It's like, yeah, so, and he's telling him, one of my bigger things was with the Walter Russell's perception of the spiraled periodic table, which Terrence also had. And then upon reading the Walter Russell stuff,
he was working on it. And then
shit.
When he found that, he was like, oh, it's already been done. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but and Eric basically told me, he's like, that's a bullshit idea and you shouldn't do anything with it. And it's like, whoa. Because he made a grander point of, it's like, hey, you have all of this stuff that you've done. And because of, as he put it, an error, you utilized an error in the math where they were talking about 1.947 or something instead of 1.8 or whatever when he was designing the linchpin sets. And he's like, you have an error, but because of that error, you came up with something that's really genius.
It's a beautiful error because it makes it work.
And to me,
I don't understand the math behind that, but I guess in order to split all those angles, the only way to do it is that it can't be the perfect whole number. It's gotta be slightly off.
Yeah, which is why he gets the 6 dimensions of, usage, because instead of just, pitch and yaw, it's like you get multiple aspects. But it's so, in one regard, he's telling him you made an error and it's a beautiful outcome, but you can't use any of this stuff in this, in this manner because it's wrong. And it's like, wait, I didn't get that from what he said.
Yes,
he did several times.
I thought he was saying,
specifically,
this is a good marketable idea.
No, that's on the linchpin. I'm talking, that was,
okay.
So in correlation to it, he's saying you made an error, but you came up with some genius because of it. But then he's telling him all these other things that have errors. And he's like, don't do that. It's like, wait a minute. I made an error and it came up with something beautiful. Why would you tell me not to use any other errors? Because of that, I let go of, thinking inside the box kind of shit. So, to me, while most of what was perceived, by everyone, I mean, Terrence included, Eric's help was helpful. But at the same time,
I think we're going to see more from this relationship. I'm really hoping we are.
I mean, it sounded like it. But, so again, my point on all that is like, he's telling them this, that, and the other, how this is genius because of it. But then in every other aspect where he's like, no, you're just completely wrong. You should just throw all this shit out. It's like, but I made some cool stuff from it. Why would you then tell me to limit myself in the same regard? So I found some of his points or the way he came about it to be slightly hypocritical.
So, and I perceived a lot of the very same stuff, but I took it a little differently. I saw him as being I saw Eric as being such a staunch supporter of Terrence's work. I think what he was really doing, it's like, because he's a really smart guy, and it wouldn't surprise
Eric
me.
or Terrence?
Eric.
Yes.
But it wouldn't. They both are.
Well,
but
as Eric said, he's smarter than Terrence. Well, he put it as
yes and no.
Egotistical though.
Yes and no, because it's like,
well, no, in mathematics, he says, I know more than you.
He also said universities and places where I work used to have a larger number of these self-taught polymaths, that it was much more common back then. He's like, but it's not like that. People aren't open-minded like they used to be. Like, you have to have tangible evidence. And I think he kept coming back to that. And that's why, like, I kind of saw it as he was trying to pull out all the usable, tangible stuff, and that everything else would fall into place if it was in fact. But does it do me any favor to tell you this could work, or to just tell you, even if it's not true, this is garbage, ignore it? Because I need you to focus on something so that you can start getting attention in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely those parts to it.
He obviously struck a chord with these people. And I think maybe some of these reactions Terrence received out of fear. The fear of these other scientists that have been established, and this guy's going to just walk in off the street.
Yeah.
Doesn't even know how to speak the language. Doesn't even put in the work.
That's what, like JD said, was like the ego. So that's where I agree with that is, there's very much ego-driven aspects from that.
But I saw like everything that Eric did in that conversation seemed to be trying to trying to push Terrence into like if I have to mold you to be a certain way so that you can get what it is that you want to get, but like, you know, you got to think along the same lines as me. Like I need to learn what you know, and then kind of spit it back to you into how do you present this? You know, don't present it. You know, if you have an idea, that's fine, but don't. And I think more than anything, not completely getting rid of the 1 × 1 idea, but let's not use that as a tagline. It's probably not your best foot.
No, I think he pretty much straight up told him that's bullshit. Don't do it.
Yeah.
No, he's like, what you're doing is.
But at the same time, he said he understood what he meant.
No, he said, I get that you're attempting to utilize it as a metaphor or analogy, but it's wrong and you can't do this. That's why I said, you know, my biggest thing with.
Like, why did it have to be that way?
Well, so while Eric's intentions, which, you know, definitely came across by the end of it, was I'm here to help. And again, him coming in saying that it's because his colleagues were being so just eviscerating him that he felt that there was a need to do this. So for him to take it in that regard, but then in the same manner, pretty much do the same shit, but tactfully almost, it's like, bro, you're still being kind of a dick right now. That's why I made it to the analogy of, you know, an adult telling the child, oh, you should dream and imagine, but all of this is wrong. What? You know, it almost had like a lot of like backhanded compliments where he's like, dude, you have a beautiful mind and this is amazing. You're obviously very intelligent, but you're stupid in these ideas and they're wrong and you shouldn't do it. And it's just like, what the fuck, bro?
Like I said, I heard all those same statements, but I received them a little differently. And it's possible that how I received them was in some way because my mirror neurons were picking up on the fact that Terrence wasn't really offended by any of it. He was just sitting there with open ears.
Well, yeah, like sighted child. Somebody's listening to me and they'll talk about it. Yeah.
Just taking it all in and kind of categorizing everything and trying to figure, okay, I got to come back to this and I got to, okay, you know.
Well, yeah.
Like he seemed very, like he wasn't really put off by really anything. I mean, until that one point where, like you said, something off color came out.
Yeah, garlic makes my feet smell.
And he just said something super silly, and I was like, wow, okay.
So, you should really learn to cough off mic, by the way.
Sorry.
No, like way off mic.
Right.
Which, you know, there was a few moments during this this interview where I guess conversation really, where it took me back to us in our originals. Where they're sitting, they're just like, yeah, this dead air is really good for right now. This is the best.
Kept going off mic, yeah. I'm like, so how you doing? Like, and they just like that, just jumped right into like, okay, no, shut up because nobody can hear you right now. I can hardly.
Yeah. No, I thought that was very enjoyable. JD, did you actually wind up watching the original interview just between Terrence and Joe? Because I know you said you had started, but
yeah.
Did you wind up finishing?
One. I haven't had a chance to watch the rebuttal.
Well, yeah, but no. Did you watch the first one in its entirety so that you're okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because you at home are aware because she wasn't a part of those episodes, but you know we wanted you to be because you were a part of the first one. You had personal stuff. It happens, but we felt coming back to it was almost like you weren't there for the additionals. That it's like, well, we've already kind of talked this horse to death in a sense, but we never really got any of your takes from the original set because you hadn't finished it when we started the initial conversation, which at this point is like
it's been a
3
couple
episodes
weeks since
ago.
I watched it now. So some of the things that I thought, obviously the 1 × 1 = 2 is like, okay, I don't get it. But what you were saying when the guy, Eric, was, okay, let me gather my thoughts here. ADHD running crazy. So
That'll happen here.
You had mentioned that in the rebuttal interview, he was like, stop teaching. And then later on, he was just like, I need you to explain to me everything so I can grasp it and understand it. Wouldn't that be teaching?
Well, I mean,
I think it was the preachiness. And
Well, yeah,
like I
'cause-
picked up on that it was like, it was only at those moments where he was like, no, it's this way. And it's like, dude, you can't do that because this is theoretical.
No, and that's how all like the greatest minds, like, okay, so one scientist will do something and they'll fail, or they'll experiment and they'll fail, and they'll experiment and they'll fail. And then somebody else will come along and take either something completely radically different or take the same thing. And like you said, he had made one little mistake, but it ended up stumbling onto like something greater. So that's how things are created, because you have to have some type of an open mind to be able to like say, oh, well, okay, well, this circle is not going into the square holes. So how, or vice versa,
Sorry,
however
sorry.
the stupid thing is.
Well, and I don't know I know what the percentage of inventions that have come out that are completely due to serendipity, but there are a few.
Yeah, but if you're telling
More than a
someone
few,
to
bro.
stay in a box so I can mold you and then spit you out to a more palatable version of an explanation or whatever this guy wants to get out of this, like, I'm not there for it. I think he should just let Terrence do his thing and stop telling him what to do, because that's how you're gonna.
Well, yeah, and so
yeah, it's funny because I didn't get like he was trying to take ownership of anything.
no.
Or-
But going to your point, JD, there was moments, again, where he's like, don't teach. And as Terrence modified his sentence structure to say my belief is, or my thought is, or my assumption is, or what I had derived to, he's like, now I can agree with what you're saying.
Right, because he's not saying it like as if it's already fact.
But, and to Terrence's point, though, is when people are asking him things, he's not teaching, he's attempting to express his ideations. So he's like, well, it's because of this and that. And it's so, people take it as, oh, I'm teaching now because I'm saying this is fact. That's not what he's saying. He's saying, this is how I derive to it. This is where, I thought this and this is where it comes. So
Right.
him adding the physical statement of my belief is, or my perception is, or this is what he's like.
So he basically wants him to reference it as a hypothesis from the get-go.
More or less.
Well, there's nothing wrong with calling it a belief because that's what it is for him.
But anything's a belief for all of it.
That's why he's so excited about it, which is like, it's adorable. Like you can't hate on that. And I think
not at all.
No.
I think as much as I kind of expected Eric to start getting annoyed, he really didn't.
But do you know that's where you could hear, because you didn't see it.
He was getting frustrated because he was trying to help, but
you kept, at least me, I heard, I couldn't even keep count of it, but just every single time Terrence started to go, you didn't just hear,
oh, from Joe?
No, it was from Eric.
Eric, yeah.
It was Eric breathing, heavy sigh into the mic that of just like, oh, he's doing it again. And it's like, dude, I get where you're coming from.
I mean, again, I didn't.
But no, I get where you're coming from and your perception of, because you're in, the science field of mathematics, and this is how you believe this is how the system's supposed to be.
Right.
But you're putting Terrence's ideas into a box, and you're also at the same time trying to say, I'm here to help you get out of this box. So, I felt very much, while the intention was, very wholeheartedly a good place, he kind of did the same shit.
So understand, and this is why we have different perspectives. Like,
This is why we have this platform.
and this is why we end up having a conversation in the first place, because
Fucking right.
I see things in a different way. In this particular case, it seemed to me as if he was doing his level best to support somebody that he thought had a certain level of genius, but if you don't hone it a certain way, like,
yeah, finite for a presentation.
and realizing that your focus should always be on, if this is really, really something I truly believe, and I've created a hypothesis, I need to test that before I start thrusting it out into the community at large. I need to find a way to test that. if you need to get financial backing to do that, well, he shouldn't really need it.
But that's more on like the scientific method aspect, which even Eric said himself. He's like, it's kind of stupid. He's like, the scientific method is just it muddies the water.
That's not actually the scientific method, the way it works in the community now. Yes.
Yeah.
But
who says that's the way it works? Who says we can't shake up the system?
That's what I took from that, and why I believed that he was in full support of him, because he seemed to have a certain level of respect for the fact that there used to be polymaths in the system, and kind of disappointed by the fact that there aren't anymore.
Agreed.
You know what this reminds me of? The archaeologist, the one
Graham Hancock.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a journalist.
So,
journalist, yeah.
But he started he's investigating archaeology and finding he's going in with the archaeologists and he's doing all this stuff, but he's now so they kind of stonewalled him basically.
No, not kind of, they did.
When all right, I was trying to put it nicer, but when they
fuck those douches. Sorry.
When he came out
Redacted.
with his theories and his findings and everything, and he had evidence and proof and stuff, he was literally blacklisted and stonewalled by everybody.
Well, and he's not the only one with those same ideas and theories, too.
Yeah, not only that, but
I know.
They modified his wiki page and put false information on it just to fuck with him harder. Yeah, they did.
They're immature and they have an ego and they can't understand that somebody else may have a better idea.
Ding, 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 ding.
Might be on to something.
Sometimes it just be some haters out there.
Accomplish or figure out. It's totally that, and it's a projection thing, and that's what I feel like is happening with Terrence too.
Just be some haters.
He reaches out to Neil deGrasse Tyson and then all these other people, just being like, somebody sit down and have a conversation with me. But if these are great mind scientists and somebody's coming on to something that even raises an eyebrow, wouldn't you want to sit down and see what's going on instead of just being like, oh no, I'm better at this, I know more, there's no way this person can come in and come up with anything.
Well, yeah, like you said, though, like you said, it's the ego at that point, because they're like, I've got 20 years experience. How dare this person who's only looked at this shit for 3 minutes going to be smarter than me? It's fucking ego.
Sometimes people just
why the rest of the community doesn't accept them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because think about it. Because him having synesthesia, he's going to see things with additional perspectives and gain a larger scale out of the box ideation. And and like your point earlier, isn't that shit that we want to be promoting because that makes for possibly the greatest outcomes?
Well, what did I say? What?
But then they didn't come up with it, so it's ego driven.
1 through 7 year olds.
They just want to keep us in a box.
1 through 7 year olds, people with synesthesia, and anybody on hallucinogenic drugs.
yeah.
Is seeing maybe a bigger slice of reality. So who's to say? And that's the thing. It's stumbled upon these things, and it's maybe he inferred them because he's seeing a different reality than we see.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing as lucid dreaming.
Why wouldn't you fully believe what you're seeing?
Well, yeah, because even Terrence said, and the Eric put him down for it, was this was given to me, it was shown to me, these angels brought it to me. Lucid dreaming, the same as Tesla or Einstein would say. I didn't think of this shit. I just found it out in the ether.
Don't bring spirituality is not allowed in the scientific community.
Well, I felt it was.
So if you can find a way to put, that's what I got. If you can find a way to put this out without including that whole shit about angels, do that.
No. I don't think that was. He put it more as, in Islam, you always give the respect to the greater power, because it helps to remove ego. He's like, He's like, screw that. You thought of this. This is really smart shit. Pat yourself on the back in a sense. But at the same time, it's especially with how we've always talked about, with the Akashic records and all that stuff, it's in the ether. I didn't think of this shit. I found it. It's already been here. I'm just pulling it out.
Everything's recycled.
Yeah, no shit.
And, I'm with that, personally. Who are you to say I didn't have some angels handed to me? Did you see that shit? No, I did. what I got, how I received that conversation was very much in the beneficial, positive light towards Terrence and what he's trying to do. Whether or not I agreed with everything the way it was said, I think it was said in a manner to try and motivate Terrence in a certain direction.
Agreed.
Because it's obvious.
Like constructive criticism?
In a sense, yeah.
It's obvious. And like you're talking about, trying to help you get out of your box to get into another box. It's the box that he wants to be in. He asked somebody that he knows in the scientific community to try and get his foot in the door. That's what he's asking for. And if he doesn't want that the way that it has to happen, he can walk away. It's entirely up to him. So the way I received the conversation was, I think Eric was doing everything in his power as patiently as he could, working with somebody who's still a 7-year-old. Because at heart, you can tell he's still a little kid. Like when he starts talking about Terrence, when he starts talking about this stuff, like he's excited. Like I see a little 7-year-old kid like running around showing you all the stuff he built with his Lego set. I'll take that as I can see that as the appropriate analogy. And that's it's a great thing. It's awesome.
You should be excited.
And that's the thing. Like, I think we're missing a lot of that in the scientific community. And it even seemed to come across that Eric felt the same way, that
agreed.
Things used to be different. Like, scientists could be like a hippie looking motherfucker back in the day because, it was known, like even Einstein, like was a very likable guy. Like if you could get his attention for more than 5 seconds, you know what I mean? But still at the same time, he was not the norm scientifically when he came in and started throwing his ideas around. I mean, he was a fucking patent clerk, for crying out loud.
He had to be.
Like he had no background in the scientific community.
I mean, dude, I feel like Einstein was relatively self-taught as well, wasn't he?
But is that smart?
I mean, he had formal education, but
yeah, of course.
Think about it. You work in a patent office. Like, what?
That's how you steal shit.
His job was? Yeah, because you have these ideas coming across your desk because these patents have to be like well thought out and like descriptive in order to get approved or whatever. So he's seeing like what's getting patents, and then he can probably take things and adjust it and then add.
I mean, I don't think that, I'm pretty sure there's probably people that do that. But
I don't think that's what happened, but.
Not with Einstein, but yeah, no. No, I think for him, that was the only logical job that he could do.
Really? I mean, like historically, when you hear the story about that, like it was a shit job. Like it wasn't.
Oh, it still is probably.
Yeah. But
I wonder, like, dude, as Eric put it, it's basically engineers that couldn't cut it as engineers. So they're just like, well, I'll just go,
I was wondering, like,
formalize your paperwork and tell you that you're good.
At what level do you have to achieve at the patent office, though, that where you actually can somehow get access to those blacklisted files? Because you've been hearing about some of that shit lately too, right?
Not lately,
but I mean all the stuff that's been suppressed and then the government uses it secretly. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, redacted.
And then they finally released it to the public like years later. Like Velcro was around for like a century before.
Yeah, not years, decades. Multiple decades redacted. It's totally
like true. We were so excited about Casio wristwatch back in the day, but like think about
my watch is a calculator.
Think about what was actually being used on the cutting edge. By the government secretly at that point. I mean, they probably already had cell phones.
Dude, they had GPS for decades before it became even known, let alone a universal technology. I mean, dude, I can tell you stories about that shit.
That was like Skunkworks or something that like created all that shit though, wasn't it?
It was DARPA.
That's what it was. DARPA. Yeah.
Fucking right. Which it used to be ARPA until the defense came into play.
Did you watch that episode too?
dude. And you know what? But dude, here are
Drop
some.
the D.
So
They gave him the D.
yeah, ow. So this, all right, you at home don't know this, and we should really start doing this. We need to be offering our side conversation because it really does just give people a deeper dive. But there was a response video from AJ from the Y-Files about the Terrence Howard interview with Joe Rogan.
You did not like that.
I
wasn't a fan either.
I was damn near livid. And it was like a 15-ish minute at best personal, which, AJ said multiple times, this is just my personal, hey, man, I'm just throwing shit out there. I'm in my fucking garden right now. This is just me thinking. Cool, I get that.
He wasn't even properly dressed. Yeah.
He was in his fucking PJs or whatever.
Talking about how bad his hair looked because he didn't treat it. He didn't do all the makeup and everything.
Well, no, I didn't get the camera color grading, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I didn't have the proper lighting.
He was more concerned on his aesthetics than like his actual thoughts.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But yeah, so
again, I didn't get a negative from, but go on.
A negative from what?
From I watched that video, the response video that you were talking about.
I felt it was only negative on so many levels.
It didn't surprise me.
I had a few spots that I didn't agree with. Like one thing which I commented in our group chat, but I'll share here. So he kept saying that he doesn't do negative videos or he doesn't call out people that aren't
living
alive.
Yeah.
So that there tells
you said was
that
cowardice.
He only calls out or negatively attack. He says, I don't attack people who are alive. Okay, one, you shouldn't attack anybody.
Why should you be attacking him anyway? But yeah.
Yeah. And then two, you only attack people who are dead, who there are defenseless and cannot argue their own point or clarify on what really happened that you're accusing them or whatever. And that does seem very cowardice to me.
Yeah,
you only attack somebody who's dead, who's defenseless, but you won't attack somebody who's alive who can actually debate with you because that would require an intellectual conversation.
I'll defend AJ's point in this particular case.
Why you got to defend him, bro?
Because the way I view it, AJ realizes he's in the business of entertainment. And the last thing he wants to do is sully his name by getting a name calling about other people. That's, I think, what he was trying to say. I don't normally like to do this type of episode because in general, what he tries to do is he looks at a situation, he tells a story about it or multiple stories relating to it.
Right.
And then at the end, he comes back around and he does his homework and says, this is debunked, this we don't know. And he gives you the full layout. The only takeaway from that particular short video that I didn't like was the fact that he just hands down, like, basically everything out of
thing. It doesn't explain why.
Tried to say everything that came. It seemed like everything that came out of Terrence's mouth was BS.
Agreed.
And that he would,
I
really want to do a show, what did he say, where I debunk every single thing he said. And I'm like, all right, that was the only part where
he also
challenge accepted.
Yeah, but hold on. Yeah, no. Which AJ also backed up with the fact of he's obviously more intelligent than me and I don't know anything about this. Well, then how can you even start talking some shit and try to debunk?
How are you going to have a valid intellectual argument if you are not on the same level, but the other thing that he literally just says, don't do this or don't listen to this. But he never says why.
Which to me is very ego driven.
That irritates me. Being a child of the 80s. Like, you got to give me a why.
Well, and this was one weird thing.
Say this shit on the mic.
This was one weird thing I got from that little conversation, that little side, because that was kind of like out of character for what he usually puts out.
Well, yes, he said, my wife's not home. I'm in the garden. I'm in my PJs. I can do whatever the fuck I want right now.
Right.
And he also did this as he...
Does that mean he's usually censored?
I don't know. But he also said that he had literally just finished watching the initial 3-hour episode of Terrence and Joe and then came out in the garden within moments.
It was yeah.
Whether it's, minutes, hours, whatever,
He was
but
still
it was
hot from the episode.
more or less.
That's what it looked like. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's giving you a first take on his, so he didn't have time to actually process it.
And he shouldn't have made
Which
it,
even, well, but he even said that he's like, dude, I literally just finished this. I don't have, so.
So my issue again with
he should have simmered.
with something that he said, not towards Terrence, but the fact that he made a statement at one point right near the beginning that nearly everything he puts out is debunked, is bullshit.
No. Not nearly. He stated
Everything.
for fact,
it's all bullshit.
everything I bring up on this channel is debunked. Everything.
And that's not
Which
true.
is, well, this is why when he then, the last episode
So
of DARPA.
he's even speaking ill on his own show because that's not true.
No, it is.
Like a lot of these things are truths and they're available as information, but most people just ignore it.
No, so I made on the side chat between us the point of I no longer enjoy his position and I'm questioning whether or not I can ever watch anymore.
Yeah.
Because as you just said, he literally calls himself out and he says everything I bring up is debunked.
Is bullshit.
It's
is basically what you're
it's
saying.
bullshit.
It's BS.
Which to me personally, I'm just like, wait a minute. I've been watching all of these episodes because I'm waiting for just smidgen of truth, of smidgen of, I can't say bunk, I can't say fact. It's questionable.
But to me, that was critical of his own show, though.
Dude, agreed. However, that was a big point to me where it's just like, so wait, I've been watching your shit with the hopes that eventually
Like
there's
you're
going
really
to
going to say this to your fans?
So now, so my personal view on this is now, wait, so every fucking episode that you're now, have and will do, it's going to be bullshit. What the fuck am I going to listen to you for now? You just straight up told me that every time I'm going to watch any of your fucking episodes, it's going to be fucking bullshit. I already know the goddamn outcome. Fuck you. Why am I sitting around for this?
And anymore, and none of this goes against because it's not like I really know AJ personally.
No, but he was on Joe Rogan. I mean, personally, I like him as an individual.
More than anything, I think he's playing the role of an actor in anything.
He even said it himself. I'm an entertainer.
He's no longer, because think about it. He's no longer writing the episodes. He's reviewing them and editing them, but he's no longer writing them.
He has final say.
He has final say.
So I still think he has some input and, direction. So I think he's, operations managing.
And for the most part, and like I told you, I still enjoy the show. It's not going to keep me from watching.
I mean, it's a good production.
And I'm just being honest because, and some of what I'm getting there is like, there's only so much stuff I can watch that's out right now. I'm not interested in most of it.
Well, most of it's negative.
And I'm more interested. There's actually a couple subscriptions I have on YouTube that I flip back and forth between. And his show happens to be one of them. And it's
I have not subscribed and I'm not going to.
I'm not hitting that like button.
Fuck no. Sorry, AJ. I like you as a person. I really just don't enjoy your work anymore. Gonna be honest. Well, there's a falsity to it. And you know me, my biggest thing in the past several years
I didn't like
is
the way he was talking negatively about his own show. That's what
I didn't like how he was talking negatively, period. Because again, past several years, I have done quite a bit of work to remove these things from my inputs, which is why I don't watch TV anymore. It's why I don't watch the fucking news. You're going to tell me that everything or damn near close to everything you're going to put out is fucking bullshit? Why do I want to ingest this? My personal view.
I think he was being overly critical when he said that.
No, I think he was being overly critical of Terrence.
That's not even true if you actually listen to his last 10, 15 minutes is all about debunking everything. But part of that is these other things we're not sure about, or yeah, these other things are true. Like, yes, the government did do this under this program and this and that. That's not bullshit. It's just when you get to the super fringe stuff, that's all bullshit, is I think what he was trying to say. But it came off sounding like everything I do on my show is full of shit.
No, he literally said,
Like, it's all bullshit.
he literally said everything I bring up is bunk.
Yeah.
Literally said that.
Which is actually not true unless he's lying to his audience at the end of every episode.
So no. He's not saying the information that he's providing is bunk. He's saying everything that I bring up is debunked or has potential for. So he more or less said everything I bring to you by the end of the episode, I'm not going to have an appropriate conclusion for you. You just fucking ruined all the hope that I could have that once in a while it's going to be like, oh shit, this makes sense.
See, then that's where I admit I don't think he should have put that video out.
No,
because I think that put him in a very negative light.
So to me,
or maybe he should have, so
same,
people can see all his sides.
But at the same time,
I think that's honest.
I don't watch all of his live broadcasts. At the same time, I don't
watch any of them.
I don't follow that. Like, his fans will follow that, but I've never heard him. The little bit that I've seen, I've never heard him talk like that on his, on his live.
This is where I found the most hypocrisy within his statements. He legit straight up says what Terrence is saying is straight bullshit, but then full-heartedly admits he's obviously more intelligent than me and I don't understand this.
I'll have to watch
well, then where the fuck do you get off trying to say that's bullshit? So that in and of itself, like you said earlier, JD, this is an ego-driven statement. And I cannot support that. I have to only stand behind being positive, respectful, and being honest. And everything he presented in that short little, 15-minute clip pretty much just called himself on his own shit, which I respect him for, which is why I said, AJ, you as a person, respect. You as an entertainer and what you're doing, fucking hate it now.
Yeah.
And I mean, after the last episode with the DARPA thing, like I don't think I'm going to be able to watch any more episodes. I just can't do it.
I wasn't as viscerally affected by some of the stuff he said. Maybe as you were, but.
Well, yeah, but because it's also, like I said earlier, I'm in that position where I'm attempting to have appropriate inputs. I'm looking for positive, possible, think outside of the box.
It made you almost
and maybe
embarrassed
that's why
to be
I feel
a fan.
the same way.
I've never been a fan of the overall show. I've been a fan of the production and the way they go about it.
The content is mostly why I watch it.
There's quality. But, he also does some stuff that we do, with Hecklefish and stuff. It's like, we throw in movie quotes and music quotes, and we try to, add levity to our serious conversations.
You can't all be data driven because it gets boring.
Yeah. Plus, we're also not smart enough to be only data driven. Let's be honest.
And I would hope that that's some of the draw for listening to a program like this is that it's not scripted. It doesn't have a direction or a specific endpoint. Like, it has a starting point.
Are you talking about us? Or?
Us, yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And that's kind of why we roll that way. Is that you can argue anything about. You can argue anything about what you think the show is, but it's because it's not scripted. It's just us being ourselves. It's just us being honest and being true.
Which is one of the things that I loved what Eric had said about Joe Rogan's platform, which I have said multiple times about us is
Terrence said it too.
We're here to have an open-ended, honest, accepting conversation. We're not here to belittle. We're not here to put down. We're not here so much to support either. However, we're here to make sure that we have an open-ended conversation platform where all ideas are at least accepted. Doesn't mean I believe it, but I'm willing to fucking listen to you and validate your opinion as a human being.
Right.
That is a huge thing. And that's why, I've always said that's the one thing that we really embody well. But that's something that, you and I have always done since we were kids, which is why we do this show, is because this is the shit we did when we were fucking 13. Now we're in our 40s and we still fucking do it, but we're a little bit more intelligent. Not a lot, a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. We're still fucking, jovial little shits, but still.
But in the same way, and that's why I was so excited by seeing Terrence the way he was in that interview. In the rebuttal interview or whatever. That
the follow with Eric.
There's that just like you're in love with the universe energy. Like I'm figuring something out. This is so exciting. This is how I see the world, and I would love to share it with everybody else.
Which
whether
means
you need to temper that with stop trying to preach teach at people.
But see, so that's
just how it like comes out.
This is why I said earlier, I feel as though Terrence was attempting to communicate, my beliefs are, but he put it in a very poignant, egocentric position that it comes across as teaching or being preachy. He's not saying he's fucking right. He's saying this is what I think, but because his verbiage is not what the communities accept as,
because he's excited about it. I think he's not really focused on.
That's why I say he's very poignant. It's all about emotion, but it's intelligent emotion.
But it's also, and this is what it's not the science community intelligence. It's the grassroots intelligence. It's I was born with synesthesia intelligence.
But that's, again, going back to Tesla and Einstein.
I don't think it's fair for the scientific community to discount that until you give it a full listen, because one of the really interesting things I kept hearing Eric say is there's some good stuff in what you're saying and valid, usable, very.
There's some baby in the bathwater.
Right, exactly.
Which is the point he was making.
There's some baby in the bathwater.
Which he said the linchpin, he's like, this is all baby.
Yeah.
This is some good shit. He's like, you know what? I even thought about this, and I was talking about this with another colleague years ago, and I dismissed it. He's like, however.
Because it didn't work.
He's like, now you got my interest. He's like, I think.
Didn't work at 180 degrees. That's why it didn't work. The mistake worked better.
Well, yeah, because he even made the point of, he's like, you have 6 pentagons that link up. He's like, but they are not precise because of. And he's like, and because of this error, you actually get what you're saying you have. He's like, that's fucking genius. You're really smart for, being able to figure that out.
I think the problem is when you start claiming that these shapes that you've created describe these complex theories that you're. But what do you mean by this is hydrogen?
See, and this is why I felt that even though Eric, for the most part, was very supportive and was definitely, steel manning him and trying to bring that to fruition, the fact that he made several expressions into limiting Terrence's ability to do what he's doing was almost like an absolute disregard, because it's because he's willing to. And again, he has synesthesia, so he's seeing things or perceiving things. Well, no, not differently. He's perceiving things. He's perceiving things on a layered aspect.
A literally different level.
He's on a whole nother level. You know what?
Level.
Dude, if you're this able to do that, why the fuck would I wouldn't at least listen to you? Why am I going to sit there and tell you, you can't think this way, you can't speak this way, you can't do these? No, fuck no. If you want to be perceived well, this is what you should be doing. However, continue your work. And to a degree, that was definitely expressed. However, again, some of his verbiage to me was very much, get inside this fucking box. It's the only way people are going to listen to you. And it's like, dude, you know what? Einstein didn't do that shit. Tesla didn't do that shit. And look at the shit they fucking put out.
And maybe I didn't really express it this way before, but like.
But where are they now?
Assuming
fucking dead. Well, they're old as fuck.
Let's assume Eric.
Tesla was. I don't know.
Let's assume Eric wants nothing but success for Terrence
And I agree with that statement.
Let's make that assumption.
I wouldn't even say it's an assumption. I agree that that's what his attempt is.
Is it possible in Eric's mind that in treating him the certain way that you're talking about in certain instances, maybe he did because if I coddle you right now, is that doing you any good?
Oh, fuck no.
If you're talking to me as a representative of the scientific community and I'm taking it easy on you, if I take it too easy on you, I'm not doing you any favors.
And I would agree that Eric did not do that.
No.
So
and that's why I have more respect for him.
Well, no, agree.
Because of the times that he really almost talked down to Terrence, kind of like the way you're putting it. It's like,
well, no.
And it was
No.
just kind of like, don't go down this rabbit hole because it's not going to do you any good.
I didn't express it as he was speaking down to him. And Eric made several statements of, I'm not attempting to, even though I have more knowledge than you.
Which is like, yeah.
I know it's kind of hypocritical, but, he still, that's why I said for the majority, what he presented was, I'm here to help you, which I completely agree with. And without being ego driven, he's not doing it because he thinks there's something in it for him. I very much believe that.
There were egotistical statements in some of the stuff that he said, but it was not ego driven.
Correct.
That's the way I view that whole.
Yeah, and I would put that.
Yeah.
I would put that as he was very much embodying the same thing his colleagues were doing, but without eviscerating him.
Well, and it's in some moments it was like, this is what they're gonna say.
Agreed.
He didn't sugarcoat it. He just said,
yeah.
He just said
he's
blah,
not coddling him,
but
and I
it's
agreed.
like, this is what they would say to that.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going to say that to you, because the problem is, without being able to substantiate any of these claims that you got, don't sit here and try to teach me.
Well, see, and that
because there is no evidentiary proof.
Evidentiary
to what you're saying.
That's not a real word. I don't know.
Whether or not you see everything on 16 different layers that I don't perceive, it may actually be true, but if you can't prove it to me, it's not going to do you any good.
Which I found.
Ignore this, ignore that. This is what you want to focus on.
Which I found to be the ironic component of all that is he's telling him the scientific method is bullshit.
But at the same time,
you have to follow it. Well, what the fuck, bro? Dude, how hypocritical are you going to be about this?
This is the world he comes from now. And he expresses the fact that he's annoyed by it. But
Agreed.
At the same time,
he fucking did it.
You have to follow some of the rules so that you can get anything done.
And this is where
I mean, it is any different than having to work for the government and having to deal with bureaucracy. It's like, well, you can't really have you can't have one without the other.
But this is the counter to it is, I mean, Eric and everybody else agreed with this is, I mean, they didn't fully support it, but they're like, your beautiful mind and errors allowed for a baby in the bathwater, but don't do that. That's what, dude. That's why I'm like, wait. This is like the adult telling the child, it is amazing how imaginative you are. I love your fucking finger painting, but it's all wrong. What kind of shit is this? So, that's why I said, Eric's heart was definitely in the right place, and that was felt and perceived by Terrence. Mm-hmm. But the irony is he's sitting there saying your verbiage is off. This is why you're being perceived this way. But he himself was doing it. And it's like, well, how much are you?
I was saying though, like, let's assume the ultimate goal was to get Terrence what he wanted, which was to get recognized by somebody in the scientific community.
No, I wouldn't even say in the scientific community.
Wouldn't it make sense that even if it goes against how I would want to say something to you?
I wouldn't say the scientific community. He was looking to be recognized as well. And, fuck that. No, he wasn't even looking to be recognized. He was looking to collaborate and still is.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
But,
that's a true fact.
But finish your statement. I'm sorry. I had to interrupt. That was.
No, I mean, I think I pretty much covered it. Like the way I feel is that ultimately what Eric was trying to do was
steelman him.
was give him exactly what it is that he wants.
Yeah, I'm going to give you some corrective
And
vernacular.
What I was trying to express to you is that maybe part of that is saying things that maybe necessarily I don't feel, but this is what you're going to have to deal with when you're in this.
There was definitely several
When you're
moments
in
of
this
that.
scientific arena,
Yeah.
like this shit ain't going to fly. This
Well-
is cool. This ain't going to fly.
But he also took
know?
it to a further stage of explaining why, which this is why.
I have mad respect for, I mean, after seeing
Well,
that,
you know, while I
already
didn't-
liked Eric, but
Yeah, right. Well, no, agreed. But, so while I didn't enjoy the majority of his vernacular and approach in what he was doing, I still fully believe he was wholeheartedly attempting to do what he said he wanted to do.
I mean, and admittedly, like this is well over my head when they start showing equations on the screen, and I'm like, I have no idea what that means.
I've read quantum mechanics and quantum physics books, so the majority of what they said, I'm like,
Okay,
I see where you're going. I mean, I'm not as well versed as either of them, but I have enough knowledge, just as Terrence did, self-taught, because I did this through books. Nobody, I didn't formally educate myself in these regards. Quantum mechanics, quantum physics. I've taken calculus to the nth degree. I mean, I do calculus without a fucking calculator, for crying out loud. But what do no? That is not a bragging point.
It's just like you formulated your mind to work that way.
Well, one, I had to, but
Yeah.
two, most of the better businesses, the better business schools in this nation has put themselves on point where you should be able to do calculus without a calculator, because you can. You really fucking can. But I am well versed enough, self-taught enough in understanding of these things. So when they're going through it, it's just like, okay, that I would have to look into. This I completely understand. Overall, I get where you guys are going, and I can agree with this. And, that's why I say, Eric made multiple attempts to really not just compliment, but support Terrence in the fact of, you're really fucking smart, and your mind, I can't even grasp how your fucking mind works, and it's beautiful. So there was plenty of compliments in that regard. Which to me, again, the adult telling the child,
and
the adult telling the child, your imagination is great, but you're fucking wrong. What?
Well, maybe that's why it was easier for me, and I don't know if this is really what I was doing, but maybe that made it easier for me to ignore some of the stuff that might have been viewed as negative about what he was saying, because a lot of what Eric was saying was so genuine.
Agreed.
And coming from a good place.
That's why I said wholeheartedly, I believe
And
his
I can't believe we
position
just
was.
spent a whole, what is this, the fourth episode in a row that we've been talking
I mean, let's be honest, we did slip some AJY file shit in there,
Look,
which I'm still upset about.
this is not an apology, but we've been talking about Terrence Howard like this, honestly, and this is just my personal opinion, is that some of the views he has scientifically and the people that he likes to read and understand that have some incredible knowledge to give, I'm also a huge Uber fan of. So Nikola Tesla,
Fuck yeah.
Walter Russell,
Yep.
and some of these other scientists that have been considered fringe that's, from my understanding, the only time we discover something new in this scientific community that we're talking about.
I love that you air quoted that.
I
Thank
have
you,
to.
bro.
Well, in today's scientific community, after all the stuff that Eric was saying, because he admittedly said it's changed. And that
It's changed and it's bullshit.
it's more of a popularity contest. It's who knows who and who can get what for who.
It's
and
political.
it's very much political, where it didn't in the days of Einstein. It was not like that.
No, it was very much true traditional peer review, where it's your people, your colleagues, your friends saying, you know what? I like this.
Your
What,
friends.
have you thought about it like this? It wasn't you're wrong or you're right. It's like, oh, I see where you're going. What about this? And it's a snowball
Your
effect.
friends or even enemies in the scientific community would be even more interested in actually doing the work to prove or disprove you than to argue with you as being an idiot.
Continuing the conversation in a sense.
In a sense, like, I don't believe that you're right, but I'm going to run the experiment to try and prove or disprove it myself.
Not an argument.
Right. Like,
yeah, I'm not saying you're right or I'm wrong or I'm right and you're wrong.
And what I was saying,
talk about it.
Was it at the first or second Terrence Howard conversation that we had where I said, I think more important than anything, I think it's important for our scientific community to get back to this type of thinking.
I want to say it was the third one.
It's
only because I just finished the second. I don't recall that statement.
But I think it's dangerous to be so close-minded, especially when it comes to science. And like I said,
absolutely.
Usually, more often than not, the new discoveries that we stumble on, we do so because we're exploring avenues that are fringe. I mean,
outside of the box,
outside of the normal.
Yeah, thinking. Fringe to me puts an automatic connotation of negativity. I'm not personally, even though I'm not in the scientific community. You should be.
I'm not opposed to the idea of, hey, I'm not saying gravity doesn't exist, but maybe it is a byproduct of magnetic activity. Magnetism, let's say, or the interaction between
transmogrification.
Between electric and magnetic, that it's a byproduct of those things.
Go ahead, JD.
No, it later.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that was, this is why my biggest point, I think, on all of this is, while traditionally we attempt to put people or ideas into a box and limit and constrain, we do well when we support open-ended, non-constrained, just full-fledged, full-on, fucking do it kind of mentality.
Unedited.
Yeah, dude, I don't give a shit if you're right or you're wrong, because, I mean, here's the deal. Honestly, none of us are right. None of us are wrong. We want to make things fact because we have the scientific method. It just means it's fucking highly reproducible. That doesn't mean it's fucking true.
I think the danger of being closed-minded and just automatically saying, no, that's impossible, that'll never work. It's not to say that will work, but if you're open-minded and you're thinking about the possibility of whatever this outlandish thing is, causes you to stumble upon something else. Is it really in your best interest to be closed-minded to that thing if it may lead to something else that is also fringe, but maybe a little bit more believable? And hey, look at this. We proved it. Well, it's because that has happened historically.
Multiple times. Well, that's why, Eric even stated, he's like, yeah, you had an error, but it made some dope fucking baby. So why would you attempt to then limit me and say you only need to, or you should do this, or you shouldn't do that? Dude, me personally, after seeing all of that, I'm like, Terrence, tear it the fuck up, bro. Keep doing you, because it's fucking working. Even if you only get one thing out of all of this stuff, if you keep expanding all of that stuff, you're going to get more than one thing.
Well, it's a numbers game.
I mean, honestly, at this point, yeah.
It's a numbers game. Terrence has got, well, and that's one thing he kept coming back to. He's like, that's not a mark of success. Please stop talking.
I got 97 patents.
Yeah.
Patents don't mean shit.
That doesn't mean anything.
Because these jackasses that couldn't be engineers that are sitting in the patent office, they don't fucking know nothing.
The patent is not a business or product or a marketable item.
I think as Eric put it, it's not proof.
It's not proof.
Which, again, from his mentality is, I'm looking at it from the scientific method, even though I think the scientific method is bullshit, but it's still proof, which I'm like, dude, to me, he made so many hypocritical statements that I'm just like, but I get where your heart's at, and I full-heartedly support you.
I think maybe if we were inducted into the scientific community, we might understand that methodology.
I don't want to be inducted in none of that shit. Fuck those bitches. We probably
understand that methodology a little bit better.
Fuck you, person.
Because I think basically what he was trying to say was, you know, the scientific method as it was created and intended, you still have to go through all these steps.
You along with peer review.
Scientific method, the way it is today, is absolute bullshit.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think he pretty much embodied that on both aspects, the peer review and the scientific method. He's like, it's not fucking right.
So which says more to me is like, you have to come strong. Like if you have something and you're starting to build proof towards your hypothesis, keep going. But if you have no proof, they're going to ignore you straight up.
Well, no, I think he took it to a further point of. No, I think he took it to I think he took it to the further point of if you have any bullshit, even just a little, completely disregarded.
Cut it out.
As soon as I can say, "Oh, I find fault," it's fault across the board.
Yep.
I think that was probably one of his biggest points. So he's just like, let's finite your position and support that. And he's like, within all of that, he's like, I think the linchpin
I'm not saying
idea.
these other things aren't true. I'm just saying if you haven't proven them yet, don't include them.
More or less. Yeah. Which is why he's like, you know, the linchpin, he's like, well, this is the baby in the bathwater. This is fucking gold.
Well,
and you've made me come back against my own personal opinion, where years ago I was like, I saw some of this shit and I was like, no, this is fucking stupid. Now he's like, oh shit, this is good. Because he made an error.
Take that idea and run with it. And maybe the thinking behind that is maybe that'll be the stepping stone to the next development.
Agreed.
You know, but anyway, it's
yeah, it's
over that time at this point.
Yeah, wrap it up, B. JD, did you have something because you said later? This is later. Did you want to? You good or you want?
No, you'll hear it. You'll hear what I did later.
No.
When you listen back.
That'll be a gem for later, I guess.
I don't understand.
I don't know either. You'll have to play it back in slow motion. In reverse. Yeah. Satan is your pal.
Freddy is the devil. That's a little Good Morning Vietnam there for you. Fucking love me some Robin Williams.
Aww.
I do. Why we got to end it on a sad note? He was Popeye, by the way.
All right. Anyway,
so eats me some spinach.
So you got nothing that you want to add at this point for the wrap up, B? You
over there.
Yeah, you got nothing.
She got nothing.
I mean, to add, not to say she doesn't have it. She doesn't want to.
Oh, she's got it. She's got
it's already been brought in.
She just doesn't have anything to share at this moment. At this juncture.
Wouldn't be prudent.
I want to watch something else before I jump in on this.
Okay. I like that. No, it sounds like a to be continued.
It's all to be continued, is it not?
Fucking right. Every time.
Fucking right, doggy.
Damn straight.
This way I can be more educated before we have a conversation on this again.
You know, and there's everything right with that. Yeah.
I hope you're not alluding to us being educated in any way, shape, or form.
No, she's not. If anything, she's alluding to that we're not.
Somebody needs to be, so I have to educate myself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Which is accurate. You know what I mean? We're just, we're two 13-year-olds trapped in 40-some-year-old bodies.
Damn straight.
Damn straight. Love you, Bill Sadler. Anyways. Well, then, yeah, I think this is a great spot to.
I can't believe we've been talking about pretty much the same topic for like 4 weeks now.
But dude, see, this is my biggest point of all of this is Terrence. Even his expressions.
It opens up a can of worms for both of us. That
even in his expressions, he's just looking to get everyone, or at least some of us, to think outside the fucking box.
Just be excited about something.
Yeah, I mean, while he wants to have these conversations with others, the literal end all be all is he's like, let's just fucking go.
Let's work together. Let's do something. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why I have mad respect for him.
It's raw, unadulterated excitement for the science.
For understanding.
For if there's a slim possibility, even if it's like a 2% chance that what he's thinking of is
even if it's 0.00001.
Right. That it could be correct. That's all I need.
Let's talk about it.
Let's be enthusiastic about this.
Let's talk enthusiastic.
And I get that excited. I get it. I get the fact that he wasn't offended because he's like, I understand. He's already been getting this from the rest of the community. So believe me,
all he's been getting is the shit talking. He's like, thank God someone's actually talking to me.
I'm just happy that I have this venue to be able to express what it is that I believe.
Yeah.
Whether, you shoot it full of holes or not. That's why I'm here. It's the exchange that I'm looking for.
Pretty much. Yeah.
If there's a 0.0001% chance that this is going to be something one day, I'm just excited to be here on the ground floor.
Pretty much.
Pretty
much. Agreed.
Very much enjoyed that, but we have to do an episode about something completely different next time.
Do we?
I mean, we'll always come back to this because, like I said, I came to you and said, I've been a fan of Terrence Howard for a while. And one of the reasons is at the time I was really getting into Walter Russell. So when I found out that he was not only a huge fan of Walter Russell, he's a huge fan of a number of other fringe scientists.
Tesla.
And Nikola Tesla. So I was...
Which that was a compliment from Eric. He's like, dude, how many people in this world actually discuss things that you're bringing up? Very few of us. He's like, so the fact that you even have this knowledge, but are also willing to discuss it, he's like, respect.
I was so glad that you put that episode in the chat, honestly.
We got a side chat. We really should bring this out to you people, which maybe, hit us in the comments if you want to have us make that side chat.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, right? For another, I'm telling you, because this has been crazy. I mean, we didn't stop for a moment. The entire show. There was no lag.
Which honestly, this is the thing that I love most about the whole Terrence Howard aspect of all of this is he's just, again, putting it out there. Let's fucking talk about this shit. We're doing it. He literally inspired the world to talk. That's what we're fucking here for. That's fucking beautiful.
Same thing we're trying to do.
Same thing we are doing.
Same thing we're doing.
Same bad time. Same bad channel.
We love you all. We really do.
Yeah, no. Yes, we do. Hit us in the comments. What you're liking, what you want more of, what you don't like, what you do want less of.
Obviously, if you want JD to talk more,
Dude, I'll be honest, dude. From when she originally popped on to now, she gets a hell of a lot more camera time, which is great because she has some phenomenal perspectives and she really does round us out. Like,
it's important to get those different perspectives, though. I mean,
it is a necessity to a good conversation.
Like everything you brought up tonight, it's not that I'm not going to say I disagreed with it, but it was like, well, I didn't see it that way. I saw it this way. And it's stuff like that. That's what makes a conversation interesting. Like, I think
that's what makes a conversation a conversation.
I don't have to agree with anything you say.
Otherwise, it's a debate or an argument.
Because if I just said...
agree to disagree.
Dude, that's totally right. Yeah. Right, man. Absolutely. It wouldn't be a conversation.
Nope.
I'd just be agreeing with everything you say.
I don't need a yes, man. I need me some JD.
Which I don't agree with anything.
Fuck you.
I literally told my husband, I go,
Bro.
I don't need to be surrounded by yes men. I need to be surrounded by people who are going to tell me exactly how the fuck it is. And that's why my circle is small.
Damn straight.
There's not many people willing to do it.
Marcus Aurelius had somebody follow him around, right?
Tell him to fuck off.
You're only human. You were only human.
Nobody likes you.
Anyway, I think that's a good enough place to stop.
Nobody likes you? Yeah, that's a great place to stop. Nobody likes you. No, everybody loves you.
But as always, we've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, hit us in the comments. Tell us what you want more of, because otherwise you're just going to keep getting more of this shit. So, input's
Terrence
good.
Howard episode 27.
Pretty much, we might have to start a whole playlist of just Terrence Howard episodes. I mean, at this point, we're 4 deep.
It hits all my hot buttons. I don't know what else to say. I mean,
everything about you is a hot button.
Stop. So,
but yeah, fam, We do appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by, checking in. Hit more of our content up, the shorts, all the long form, everything. You just pointed at your junk, bro.
Right here.
Right here. Come get some of this. This is what this fucking guy's saying over here. But fam, we do appreciate you. We love you. You make all of this possible. So thank you. And as always, be good to yourself. Good to be good to everything else.
Much love.
Peace. Peace.
Peace.
We gotta,
Yo, what?
we need to hit all the buttons.
Oh,
Hit your button.
Oh, that's hitting the buttons.
Oh, hold on. Before you
Recording stopped.
That's fine.
I mean, the audio's still running.
I really have to pay.
Jim, yeah, hold on, just real quick.